Welcome back to Math Teacher Institute. Today we're going to talk about a fundamental question that should be easy to answer, but for some reason isn't. And that question is, why do we graph? Come on in. Hi, I'm Manhar Dalal and this is Math Teacher Institute. I've been a math teacher all over the world and I have a master's degree from the Math for Teaching program at Harvard. If you love math and love teaching math to others, this is the place for you. All right, so sometimes students ask this question, but as a teacher, I like to pose this question to my students and kind of ambush them a little bit. The question is, why do we graph? What's the purpose? Who cares? Why do we bother doing this? We spend so much of our time from Algebra 1 through pre-calculus. So much of our time is spent on graphing lines, graphing parabolas, graphing quadratics, graphing this, whatever. Tons of graphing, right? And why do we do it? What's the purpose? Fundamentally, why do we do it? So I ask my students this, and usually they're Algebra 2 or pre-calc students. They've been graphing for years, and their faces just go kind of white and limp, and they get this look on their face like, oh my God, I've done this for years, and why do I do this? What is the purpose of all this? And it's sad to me that they've been doing this for years. A, they haven't thought about the question. B, no one's really ever addressed it with them. And C, they certainly don't know the answer. So let's break this down. Let's talk about it. Let's think through. And when I ask students this question, the number one answer that I get from the students that even try to give me an answer is, well, it shows the trend of how things are gonna happen, something like that, right? And it's a valiant effort, but that's really more of an application of graphing. That's not an answer to why we graph. That's what can we do with a graph. So that is not a great answer, but it's a good effort. And so what I tend to do is I'll give my students a really simple question, like a linear equation, right? And I'll say, okay, I want you to write down the solutions to me. Write down the solutions to this equation for me. And so, okay, 0, 3, 1, 5, 2, 7, right? They can go on. And I say, okay, well, how many solutions is this going to have? Oh, a lot. How many? Infinite, right? Somebody eventually will say infinite solutions. I say, great. So if I asked you to write down all the solutions, you couldn't. You'd never finish, right? Well, that's a problem because if we're trying to communicate to someone, here's an equation and these are the solutions, if we can't write them all down, it would take us the rest of our eternity to write all the solutions down. We need a better way. And this is the crux of why we graph. A graph is a visual representation of the solutions to any sort of equation. So although we can't necessarily write down all the solutions, we can show someone where to look for all the solutions. We can say to them, hey, this problem has an infinite number of solutions, but those infinite solutions are located here. This is the place where those infinite solutions are. So look at this line or this parabola or this rational function or polynomial, and anywhere on this curve is a solution. So if you're looking for solutions, this is where you find them. In order to make this a little more fun and a little bit more relatable to my students, I try to give them a kind of an example that they can imagine. And I say, think about pirates, right? Back in pirate days, when they would hide their treasure, what did they do? Did they write down a series of steps and directions for where to find it? Go to the water and then walk toward the coconut tree and then look for the rock. And no, they didn't do that, right? They drew a map, right? It was so much easier to find their treasure by having a map rather than a series of directions, a list of locations, right? Well, same thing for us with graphing, right? Graphs are essentially our treasure maps, and the line or curve or whatever we're graphing is the location of our treasure, and the treasure is all the solutions to that equation. And so when I tell students this, all of a sudden, light bulbs go off. Oh, okay, I get it. These are the solutions, and we have to draw out a picture that shows where these solutions are. So if you think of a graph like a treasure map, and the line or other curve that we're graphing like the treasure, all of a sudden, it makes a lot more sense, and your students will remember this, hopefully forever. If you have a way of explaining why we graph to your students, that you could share with us, please do so in the comments below. And if this video has been helpful for you, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and maybe share it with a colleague who might want to share this with their students as well. Thanks.